Hey guys, it's time to make another tier list. Okay, so as you guys can see, I'm having a little trouble blending my green screen today. I'm not too sure what's going on, but I figured it was better than no face cam, so here we go. Let's dive into it. Now, first off, we have Lucario. Now, okay, they've nerfed Lucario 4 times, but it's still an S tier Pokemon to me. It still dominates the top lane. It is still so incredible. This Pokemon, I don't know what they can do about it to bring it in line, but it is just unbelievably strong. We've got Pikachu. Now, Pikachu, I think, is a B tier. I think it sits somewhere in the middle. It's a strong attacker. It really wins the early game. It falls off a little bit late game, but I think it's still a fairly solid pick. We've got Absol. Absol is hard for me because I believe that Absol is actually really, really strong. It does really well in the early game, but the late game is just a little bit iffy. If there was a tier between these two, which I could add, but I'm not going to, I would put it there, but I think it goes in the bottom of the B tier for me. I think it's a very strong solo queue pick. In 5s, you may struggle a little, though. Next, we have Cinderace, solid A tier. Solid A tier Pokemon. This is a great jungler. It's borderlining S tier. It's incredibly strong. Its objective flip potential is great. Its mobility is great. Its range is incredible. It does insane damage. I think Cinderace is a very, very strong pick. And we've got Blastoise. Now, I think Blastoise sits here as well. I think it's a decent tank. I don't think it's one of the best in the game. I think the damage nerf was actually quite bad for it because Blastoise's early game, its laning presence isn't too strong, but its later game is really strong, and that's kind of the balance of it. But in the current meta, giving up your early game, it just doesn't seem worth it for Blastoise. I'd love to fit on a team. We've tried it everywhere. We've tried it in the jungle. It just doesn't seem to be doing the job. Then we've got Blissey. I think Blissey, solid B tier as well. A lot of Pokemon are going to sit here in the middle, and that's a great thing for the game. See a lot of Pokemon be fairly balanced. I think Blissey is a solid healer, a solid support. It's just getting really, really outshined by certain other picks. Charizard. I think Charizard's C tier. I think this Pokemon has really fallen. The fact that they've taken away the ability for the Unite move to penetrate shields really, really hurts this Pokemon. And with the current all-rounders in the game, I just don't see why you'd really run it. Cramorants. I'm going to put in the same tier as Charizard. Early game, really strong. Late game, it just falls off. I know some really good Cramorant players that do really well. I just think the Pokemon itself doesn't provide as much as some of the other options in the B tier. Crustle, I think I would put in the D tier right now after the scoring changes and after they removed the ability for Stealth Rock to crit. But I'm going to put Crustle in the C tier because of solely scoring comps. I think scoring team comps love Crustle, and that saves this Pokemon from being incredibly useless. Eldegoss. My opinion, strongest character in the game. I think Eldegoss really, really needs something done about it. You're outputting way too much damage. You're supporting way too much. It feels like if you don't pick Eldegoss, you're almost throwing at this point, and I just don't think that's healthy for the game. Garchomp. Garchomp got a really, really big buff in its levels changing. It evolves at level 5 and level 9 now instead of level 6 and level 10, and that's a very, very big deal. But they removed the ability for Dragon Rush to crit. I do think that's a net buff for Garchomp though, because the ground build is actually decent, and I've seen some people doing some really good things with it, so I think it's enough for me to actually bring it up to the C tier. I know that's a bit of a hot take, but I think Garchomp is doing better than it was before. Gardevoir. This Pokemon has risen from here to the A tier. The level changes for this Pokemon were humongous. Having Psyshock or Future Sight at level 5, having your Unite at 9, this Pokemon is so incredibly powerful at the moment, and I'm really, really happy to see that. That was such a meta shift, and I really, really love that. Gengar, I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry to all the Gengar mains out there. This Pokemon's not good, and I wish it was. It does some crazy 1v1 stuff. Of course, you can play it in ranked when you're solo queuing and still do well. It's just, at a high level of play, Gengar just does not really do much of anything. Greedent. Now, Greedent's been nerfed, but I think it still sits in the B tier. I think Greedent is still a really good Pokemon for invade strategies, and it does have a place. It's not unpunishable anymore, but it's almost unpunishable. It gets away with a lot of things, and I think it's a very, very strong pick. Greninja. This is hard for me. I think Greninja is a B tier Pokemon after the changes to Water Shuriken. It was a big nerf after the slow removals. Surf is still really, really strong. To me, it borderlines A tier. I've seen some teams do some great things with Greninja, so it's hard for me to justify putting it any lower than that. Now we've got Crashy. Obvious S tier. Obvious S tier. Okay. Marchamp. I think this is the most slept on Pokemon in the game. And I've just realized that there's a 1 in my D tier, and I'm going to remove that. I think this is the most slept on Pokemon in the game. I think that Marchamp deserves to be seen in a greater light. Now, I think it's a B tier Pokemon. I think Marchamp has some great potential. My hood has fallen off. Let's fix that. It has great potential. It does incredible things. It actually can hard counter some of the current jungle meta. So I think it has potential, and we're going to see a slight rise in Marchamp. That's my take on it anyway. Might be because my favorite Pokemon. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Mamoswine. Mamoswine, I think, sits in the same tier as all these others. I think that we're in a fairly balanced meta at the moment, which is really good. There's the obvious standout picks, but Mamoswine's buffs were huge for it. If they just did something about this Unite move, if they did something, I think this would be one of the greatest Pokemon in the game. Genuinely. I think this is such a strong pick early game. The CC of this Pokemon is crazy. It's just in that Zapdos fight, whenever it has body barriers, your Unite move feels like it does almost nothing. Mr. Mime. This to me is an S tier. I think this Pokemon has a high skill cap, but if you can master it, it is the best tank in the game. I know it's a support, but it plays that defender role. If you can get the hang of this Pokemon, you will be a vital part of your team. It is incredibly powerful, and I think the damage could use a little bit of a nerf, but not too much. I don't want to see Mr. Mime be bad. It just right now is very, very strong. Ninetales. I put this in the same tier as these. I put this in the center B tier. I think Ninetales is a great lane attacker. It falls off a little late game. If Blizzard had the ability to go through walls, this would be one of the best attackers in the entire game. It just doesn't, and that's unfortunate. But I think Ninetales is very, very strong. Slowbro. I'm going to put this in the C tier. I love Slowbro. It's just unfortunate that it doesn't play that tank role in lane very well. It's almost like you have to drop your attacker to make this Pokemon work. And that just makes it really, really hard to find a reason to use. The Unite move's incredible. It is a great Pokemon. I think with some slight tweaks, it could really, really see some play. Snorlax. I think Snorlax is an A tier defender. I think out of all the defenders, Snorlax is the best. I think this is one of the greatest tanks in the game. The level changes to this Pokemon, having Heavy Slam at 5, is a big, big deal in lane. You become such a bully after the first Bs once you get those. It is incredibly strong, and I think that other than Mr. Mime and a certain other pick, Snorlax is your go-to tank. Sylveon. I'm going to put Sylveon in the A tier. I think Sylveon is another really, really good attacker. I think it's better than a lot of people think. I think that Hyper Voice is so incredibly oppressive, and if you're going into some certain dive comps, you can even run Mystical Fire and just fight them for eternity. I think Sylveon is such a strong Pokemon. It frustrates the hell out of me, and I can't justify putting it any lower than the A tier. Talonflame. This one's hard for me. I personally think Talonflame is bottom of S tier, but for the sake of the list, I'm going to put it at the top of A tier. I think Talonflame is the strongest jungler at the moment, outside of a certain Pokemon, and I think that just the ability to be level 7 and already threaten objectives is just so incredibly powerful that you turn everything into a flip, and it's so hard for the other team to respond to it. Venusaur. To me, this Pokemon is an S tier right now. I think the nerfs to Lucario, even though they're slight, and the nerfs to Zera Aura made Venusaur more of a threat. They didn't buff Venusaur, but they nerfed its counters, and that to me makes this Pokemon rise up to an S tier, and I think it's very, very strong, and it's almost like, I feel like there's no reason to not run Venusaur on your team. It seems like you should just have Venusaur on your team. These four, this team comp is incredible already. I think Venusaur is an unbelievable Pokemon, and I hope to see a slight nerf to it, maybe even just a movement speed, so if it's in, it can't get in and get out and do whatever it wants, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what they want to do with it, but I definitely would like to see something done about it. Wigglytuff? I think Wigglytuff is also S tier. I think you can't go wrong with either of these two. I think Wigglytuff is a glue. It makes anything in the game work, and it counters everything. It has one of the strongest, if not the strongest, Unite moves in the entire game. When it comes to that Zapdos fight, you need to respect the Wigglytuff Unite more than any other Pokemon in the game, and that just makes it stand out to me. I think Sing is so oppressive in lane once you get level 4. I think Rollout has a lot of potential too, and I've seen some teams using that very, very well. I just think this Pokemon is so strong. Cute Charm is ridiculous, and Wigglytuff just You really can't go wrong picking Wigglytuff on your team. Zera Aura. This one is really hard for me. So I've had some games lately with Zera Aura that I felt like he's just still up here, but there is a bug going on with him at the moment, so I'm really not too sure. I think Zera Aura probably right now actually sits in the B tier, which is really, really weird for me to say. I can't test it too well until the bugs are sorted out. I know exactly what's going wrong, but I think it's still a very strong, still a very strong pick. You probably can't go wrong with picking it. It's the only Pokemon in the game, though, with a level 10 Unite now, and I think that's a big deal. I think that it's still really strong outside of that, but I just don't know if it's enough. I need to do more testing. Let me know what you guys think. This one, I'm really, really unsure of, so I'd love to see some comments with your thoughts on that. And my hood has fallen off again. This is going really well. Okay, Decidueye. I put this in the B tier with these Pokemon. I think Decidueye on the right comp can absolutely shred. This Pokemon's damage output is unbelievable. It's absolutely ridiculous, and I just think that in the right hands, this Pokemon is an absolute threat, but on the wrong team comp, it just doesn't do much because it is so incredibly diveable. You really need to position well the Decidueye, and if you can, then it is incredible. Tsareena. Obviously, no. Tsareena, what were they thinking? I think this Pokemon's really fun, but like we didn't need another Lucario. We already had Lucario. Do we need another Lucario? I think one's enough. Timmy Studios, and if you're watching this, please don't make any more Lucarios. I know Dragonite's coming out soon, and I would really not like another Lucario. I think that we're good. I think we're good on Lucarios, and I think we're fairly happy with where it's at. I just think this Pokemon's cooldowns don't exist. Its damage output is so incredibly high. It sustains more than anybody else. The Unite move is on like a 4-second cool. This Pokemon is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I would like to see some nerfs to it. I don't want it to be terrible. I think it's very easy to make this character bad with the wrong nerfs, but with a little bit of tweaking to maybe the attack stat, or maybe to the healing, or maybe to the damage, but nothing too major. I think this Pokemon could be sitting in a really, really great spot. It still has an early game that's not Lucario, which is good. Thank you for not giving us that. But I think it definitely needs something done about it, and I am fairly happy with just the idea of the character and the design of the kit. So I think they could really, really balance this character and make it just an incredible pick, but nothing too broken. That's it for the tier list. I definitely want to give a shout out to the members. You guys have no idea how much you mean to me. It's really incredible just to see the support. This is something I would love to make my life, and I have been working incredibly hard, and just to see people appreciate that just makes me so happy. So thank you guys so much. Honestly, I can't explain in words what it means to me. I got too flustered. I can't even do my outro properly. So as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.